This is the Fitness Wisdom Podcast. Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Fitness Wisdom Podcast. Today we have a returning guest, Kerry September. She was on the podcast previously and we discussed about her personal health journey, how she overcame serious health struggles and lost a ton of weight. And she's like a great example that you can transform your entire appearance and health from the inside out at any age. So welcome back to the show, Kerry. It's a pleasure to have you back.
It's good to be back, Andreas. Thank you for having me again.
You know what sparked our idea for doing this podcast conversation is that we were talking, on Instagram, and we, like we do, we always chat back and forth. And you were telling me something about intuitive health. I don't remember the topic exactly what we were talking about, but that just made me realize how important it actually is to talk about this because, in this day and age with the rise in technology, which can, make our lives very easy, it can also destroy our health at the same time. And especially like when it comes to the rise in health tech as well. So health technology that we use, for tracking our metrics and all this stuff, it can be very useful, but it can also be very, it can take us off track of knowing or intuitively knowing what's happening inside our bodies, right? So before we dive into that though, in case people haven't listened to our previous conversation, do you mind sharing your story briefly before we get into it?
So in 2020, I got very sick. I think that's kind of how most people change their lives, which is, I wish it didn't have to be that way. So you kind of could prevent it, but yes. It's not be able to influence people or try and sort of educate people how to stop it happening. I think that's why I do it, but I did get very sick and it sent me down a rabbit hole that I had to address my health because I was told that had I not, I would have possibly got cancer. And so I set off on a journey to, in lockdown, a give up sugar course for 1 month, and it was so successful. It wasn't easy. I ended up carrying on with the group. As a collective, we all agreed to keep going. So we did it for 2 months and it just blew me away. And then once the course was over, I just thought, what would happen if I keep going? What would happen if I just carried on? Because most people, they start a course or, book a course with their PT or a training schedule for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, and then they just stop and then everything goes back to how it was and on like a hamster. Yeah. But your whole life doing the same thing when actually once you're given the tools and you know how, then as my first PT said to me, the work is done. And I really, really, believe that the work is done and you just have to tweak it, change a few things and just keep researching, just keep reading, keep listening. There's so much information out there now. It's so confusing. Like I've got a fly in front of I do attract lots of animals. It's really hard not to be overwhelmed and, think, oh, fuck it. Where do I begin? Most people message me and say, where do I start? Where do I start? But it kind of evolves. And now I think if you are going down rabbit holes or researching, the algorithm was still, they will throw things at you. And it's about just picking a couple of things, taking it so slow. But I think giving up sugar is the number one start, giving up sugar. And that is the hardest. The hardest thing is starting.
Yes.
And so I'm 5 years down. And I'm on a different kind of journey now because my whole body has changed. And when I spoke to you last, I told my story about how I had to have a hysterectomy. I had a 1.5 years of trying to research to shrink them, but it wasn't successful because there was no information out there. Even my doctor who did the operation, I remember saying to him, what causes fibroids? And he said, I don't know. Thinking, how can you not know? How can you not know? Or maybe there wasn't enough time for him. Maybe he did know. Maybe there wasn't enough time for him to sit there and tell me, because he's got 100,000 other patients to see. So I decided that I was going to keep going out, and I am getting to the bottom of it, and it is a collective of a lot of things. But yeah, sugar is the big one, and it's not getting easier. It's kind of being thrown in our face even more. And I think I have come to learn that I read somewhere that in our, they're putting stuff in our food, processed food, ultra processed food. And now I think I'm starting to see around me, people are taking an easier route. And so these big food companies are now employing sort of specialists to come in and produce even more addictive substances to put in our food. And so sort of, you need to stay away, like you need to stay as far away as possible from these kind of foods. And it's just about doing it in, slowly eliminating, just taking your time. So, yeah.
Looking to connect with a community of like-minded individuals? I've got your back. Head over to the description below and join my Fitness Wisdom Podcast Telegram group, where I'll be sharing daily actionable knowledge and wisdom, as well as anything timely. This is a place where we can get to connect deeper and have meaningful, nuanced conversations. So if you want to connect with me, find a like-minded tribe, and take your knowledge and wisdom to the next level, join the Fitness Wisdom Podcast Telegram group. I look forward to seeing you in there. So yeah, you had a crazy journey. And it's very inspiring how you managed to overcome a lot of these physical and mental struggles, because a lot of people don't actually realize that a lot of the battle is in the mind, right? Because the way that your physiology works controls your hormones and then therefore controls your mindset. A lot of people don't actually know that the way that you think and your decision making is very much governed by your hormones. And so if your internal environment is not working optimally, then of course, to make that decision, to stay away from a certain food or to not do a certain act or, habit, it takes a lot of willpower. But in reality, it's not that we need more willpower. We just need to fix the internal state to allow the natural willpower to take over, where it becomes more effortless. And then, as you said, it's just all about keep on going. And so I'm sure many people will have many questions of how you ended up in that situation in the first place, meaning like, why were you going towards getting sick? I know many people can go back to listen to our first podcast conversation. On that one, you shared all of the solutions. So I don't want you to share any of those today, so people could go back and listen to that one for the solutions. But maybe what do you think people are doing that's getting them in that situation in the first place?
Life is getting more stressful. I think stress is a big factor. People, life gets in the way. We're all completely different. We've all got different situations. I think life is about timing. I think, we've gone from having different lighting to all of our lighting being changed. We've gone to technology. I mean, I used all the apps when I started, but as my body has become cleaner, it's become more sensitive to all of these this technology. So I did have an Oura ring, and then I just thought, you know what, I've learned it. It's a year, I've learned it. I don't need that. If I'm on my phone and I post something, I tend to just kind of post something and then I don't need that. So it is technology, and it is being sucked into doom scrolling and the blue light especially. I think it's just sucking everybody in to the point where I think people make excuses, to come out. I think people are so used to doing this all day long. It's quite scary. And you walk along the road, and I'm guilty of it sometimes. I've got to find my way, or I try not to use the sat nav. I ran out of data when I went to Holland recently, and my eSIM didn't work, and I used up all my data. So I was right back to the 90s, memorizing the map, screen grabbing it, writing down road names. And really, this is how we used to use our brains. Whereas now, I think people are so used to using an app that they can't live without this blue light in front of them. I had a job this week. It's a very interesting experiment. I had a job this week. I was working in an airport in the arrivals section all day. So first of all, I got up mega client's house and he had one of those Lumi lights, which was amazing. Yes. So I'm going to change our makeup light. I'm not going to use a ring light anymore. I'm going to get a Lumi light because although it was pitch black, it's better than using a ring light. So I was there at her house from, 6 o'clock in the morning. It was pitch black, got her ready. We went to the airport and I was working in the airport all day. And I was very aware the lighting in the airport was absolutely horrific. And then I started to notice that I was getting really hungry. Yeah. And I never get hungry, craving sugar. Yeah. Any airport, all the usuals, they've got all the big fast food chains and the big coffee chains. And it's all a load of, it's a load of rubbish, basically. And I just found myself looking, I really want a cake. I really want chocolate. I never, ever eat anymore, actually. I don't give it as much anymore. So I did, because we hadn't eaten. And I said to them, can I have some food? And they went and got me coffee, cake. There was no other food but a sandwich. I ended up eating the inside of a sandwich, but I felt I didn't feel good. And then on the way home, I was driven home. It was a 2-hour journey in an electric car. I mean, it's so interesting. In a car that was like this the whole 2 hours, all the windows shut, because obviously I'm not the one that calls, the artist comes first. Yes. They want to keep warm. And I got out of the car and I kid you not, all of us looked like go. We looked so pale and I felt I was going to throw up. And I just think if you're in that environment all the time, it made me realise how much I actually have changed my life and how beneficial all of the things implement. I mean, I'm just a normal girl who got sick and decided to have a little look about what I could do about it. And then the next thing I know, I think the cleaner I got, the more I wanted to know, the more information I learned, and my brain just seemed to be working better. And it's actually addictive. I'd rather be like that than be working in an environment, like that, which obviously if you did every day, it's not great. It's not good for your health. So I think,
Imagine spiking your blood sugar without eating cake, elevating cortisol, your stress hormone, without being stressed, and suppressing your body's most powerful sleep, antioxidant, and regeneration hormone, which is your melatonin. This is why I make sure to wear my yellow daytime blue light blocking glasses every time where I spend time indoors under artificial lights and in front of screens, to protect my eyes from oxidative stress and my entire body. And if I'm going to be exposed to artificial blue light, especially after sunset, I'm going to wear my red lens blue light blocking glasses to support my melatonin production and release. So if you want to protect your energy levels, sleep, and biology from artificial blue light, head over to the description and you will find all of the links with a massive discount on my favorite blue light blocking glasses. So basically what you said there is that you can't get well in the same environment that you get ill within. This is a very famous quote that I've heard and I absolutely love, that in order to actually change your health, you have to first shift your environment that you're in, because most of the times when we're doing certain habits and behaviors, we are in a certain environment and it's the environment which is promoting that behavior or that habit, right? So if you're at home, for example, and your environment is not set up, let's say, in a healthy way, and in your cupboards, it's only filled with chips and crackers and biscuits and whatever, and it doesn't have anything nutritious, that environment is not very inviting for health, right? And especially if you've got artificial lighting and you're just staring at your phone all day. But if, let's say you shift your entire environment, you open up your windows, you don't use your blue light, you go outside, you change all the food in your cupboards. Now you've literally transformed your environment, your external environment, which is obviously going to influence your internal health. And one very important thing that you mentioned was about the stress and how that's actually causing a lot of harm to a lot of people without knowing. I think everybody knows that stress is not good for them, but they actually don't realize how harmful it actually is, because it leads from one thing to the other thing. So you start, by doing one thing, and then unfortunately it takes you down this path which is not optimal for your health. So for example,
right.
you make a bad food choice and then afterwards you stay up all night and you watch TV until 2 a.m. and then you lay in the morning, you don't watch the sunrise, and you eat your cornflakes in the morning, you don't eat a nutritious breakfast, you do all these kind of things, and all these things are all micro stressors and they all add up on top of each other. But maybe let's explain to people like why actually this blue light is so why actually makes you crave the sugar. And it's because when artificial blue light from LEDs and all modern light bulbs these days and screens and everything, it basically stimulates your stress hormones. And so when your stress hormones rise, your body is sending out resources, quick fuel from your liver or wherever you have glucose available, and it's going to dump it into your blood, raising your blood sugar without eating cake. And it's actually going to, circulate around your body to give those areas of your body which are stress fuel. And so once it's used up, that quick fuel source, your body now has to make, if it's run out of glucose, it has to make its own glucose by breaking down proteins. And obviously that's a very energy costly process for the body and it doesn't like it. So what's going to happen, your hunger cravings are going to increase to go and find glucose, so your body doesn't have to break down its own muscle or organs to actually produce the glucose. So it's absolutely crazy when you actually realize that the type of light that you're exposed to influences your metabolism. And a lot of people don't actually understand that your environment literally influences your metabolism more than the food that you eat. We talk a lot about aerobic and anaerobic metabolism and, aerobic exercise and anaerobic exercise. Most people don't really understand those terms, even though they are thrown around a lot. And, especially with these tribal nutrition communities online, everybody wants to believe that when you do this type of diet, it's guaranteed that you are in this type of metabolism. And if you're in this diet, but no, you're missing the whole point, because something that governs biochemistry is biophysics. And that's basically what Kerry is talking about in the most realist way in daily life. You talked about intuitive health, in our messaging. So what's your definition of intuitive health?
I think we are all intuitive. We're just bogged down with sugar and all of this stuff around us that kind of blocks all those signals. Because as a kid, I used to get flying dreams, and I now I'm getting dreams back. So they're coming in thick and fast, and I'm trying to get back to those flying dreams. And I know that I will. Wow. Because I've had some amazing wake up and you just feel like on top of the world. So I think that the intuitive thing comes when you get to a stage when you have eliminated all of the crap out your life. I mean, obviously, it's not as easy as we say. There are some things that you can't control, and life is not perfect. But when you become in your brain and your eyesight becomes clearer. I mean, your hearing becomes a little bit crisper. I lip read, I'm hard of hearing. I've been experimenting this last year, not wearing hearing aids, much to the horror of some of the people around me. But I'm at an age now where I really don't give a shit. So that's really nice, reaching an age. But the intuition comes after doing this journey for a time, and it's just knowing, you've got to try it on yourself. You can't sort of just take every supplement that somebody recommends without taking a blood test and looking at your levels. You have to listen to or you take something, you try something and see how you feel. See how you feel, even if it's for a day or a couple of days. And, you're using single ingredient. When you've got to the stage when your body is actually craving single ingredient foods. I don't shop at supermarkets anymore. It's not like people say, oh, you're so lucky, you live by the sea and, you've got farm shops. It wasn't easy, but I made it happen. And it took me a long time to make it happen. But through that process, being in nature, you tune into nature, you're grounding, or getting energy. I mean, I listen to all, I listen to all your podcasts. I love listening to all the guests you have on. I'm not an expert. I don't think anyone's an expert. Nobody can claim to know everything, but I do not understand fully the physics of how it all works. So I have an idea, but all I know is that it makes you more in tune. If you're out there with nature, you're just in tune with your body.
Yes.
When I went to Holland a couple of weeks ago to do a roller skating. I went to roller skating school, which was, amazing. And I met up this year with I've met with like-minded people, in our community, because I think you need them, because it's very hard to you want to meet people in real life, because you're in this kind of shit show all around you, and it's just so refreshing to sit and talk to someone who understands your weirdness. I mean, what everybody else thinks you're, really, really weird. So I had a friend who came over from Australia, and she came and stayed with me. She was doing a skipping course in London, and she said, "Hey, Kerry, can I come and see you?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So she came. We did not stop talking for 3 days. It was, I learned so much from her, so that I get knowledge from that. She's got knowledge from me. We go off. She's on the other side of the world. Still chat almost every other day. I went to Holland. There was another beautiful friend that I've been talking to for a few years. We met. As soon as we met, it was like I'd known her forever. We went straight to the beach. She's a dog. Beautiful dog. He's otherworldly. He's not, I mean, he's not, I say he's not human. No, he's not human, but he wasn't on a lead. He was, I didn't even see him go to the toilet. Like, he's not a normal dog. Anyway, we went to the beach. We went in the sea. It's November, and we went in twice, and she said we had this kind of freaky weather where it was really, really warm. We were sunbathing on the beach, and all these people walking by, giving us funny looks. But we were sat there, and we noticed that her dog had a bumblebee like sitting on him, big fat bumblebee, and nobody panicked, because we're always out in nature. Nobody panicked. The dog didn't panic. He just brushed it off, and it flew over there, and it circled back and sat next to my friend. And then there was this crow in the background, and Judy used to have a crow. Pax was we were all just sitting there. The birds, the bees, Pax, and the crow in the background. And I think it's just, it's energy. The animals feel it. It's an intuition. I can't really explain it. It just seems to get stronger, cleaner. You get the more time you spend outside in natural light, I suppose. You become in tune with nature. It's really beautiful.
If there was one substance that could increase your energy levels, optimize mitochondrial function, boost ATP production, help to optimize your hormones, remineralize the body with ionic minerals, boost cognitive function, assist detoxification, and support your gut health via the microbiome, this substance is Shilajit, known as the destroyer of weakness. Shilajit is a herbal mineral substance made from the decomposition of plants and bacteria, this process taking place over thousands of years. It is harvested from high altitude locations, primarily the Altai and Himalayan mountains. And what makes Shilajit so unique is that it's made by Mother Nature herself. I call it nature's methylene blue. Not all Shilajit that you find on the market is created equally. This is why I only use and trust Mountain Drop Shilajit. They have an extremely high quality Shilajit product that has been rigorously tested for heavy metals and impurities. Grab yourself some Shilajit, the destroyer of weakness, today, and head over to mountaindrop.com. Use the promo code MobilityFitness at checkout for a nice discount as well.
Oh, you summarized it really well, actually. I wasn't expecting that you were going to go down that road, but like, that's so true, that the way that the energy that you feel and how you feel more in tune with your environment is very true about how, like, becoming more in tune with your body as well. Because it is true that, the more you can sense the inside of your body, obviously the outside of your body is very easy to sense because we've got our 5 senses that are designed for that. But actually feeling what's going on inside is so much harder compared to what's going on outside. But as you said, what was really cool is that, your vision and your hearing and all this and your senses actually heighten and improve the more in tune you become with your body. the healthier you become. I've noticed the exact same thing for myself. I used to wear glasses as well for distance. And then at one point, maybe when I was studying, when I finished my studies at university and I didn't have to look at whiteboards anymore, I just decided to, complete, because I had to wear them then because I literally, was having such a hard time. But, back then I was even unaware about the blue light. So when I now became more aware, obviously, I ditched the glasses. I haven't worn them since. And now that's been like probably 6, 7 years already since my studies. And so, I've just been going without glasses and just gazing into the horizon, doing eye exercises. I just noticed that my vision is just so much more relaxed and more clear. I can even see better with my yellow blue light blocking glasses, funnily, when I'm driving in the nighttime, rather than without them, because you can imagine these days everybody has these blue headlights which are terrible. Like it's literally a crime against humanity. I just feel like that's not right. Yeah, it's like right in your eyes, especially. It's so sharp. Say again.
Yeah, but I realize, like, I can't really wear the yellow glasses when I'm at work. My job, I have to look at someone's face and I have to make them up. If I wear yellow glasses, the green face, do you know?
Yeah, that's so true.
And today I had a migraine. I've not had a migraine for about 4.5 years, I would say.
Wow.
And I was driving home and I staying with my dad, and I just got to his drive and I called him and said, I cannot go any further. I mean, I get this little kind of floater. I get a warning sign, and
right,
I know
so it's like a visual migraine.
Yeah. So it was really interesting experiment for me, just to experience that kind of lifestyle again, because I don't do it all the time. And also where my dad lives, obviously it's Christmas time, and people are just, I don't know what it is. It's like a competition, a National Lampoon's competition. Who can get the most lights up in their front garden? It's just inconsiderate to people, but they don't know. They don't know how these lights are to your health. It's nuts.
Oh, I see it all the time. I see it all the time, and I just think as well how it's so inconsiderate. But at the same time, as you're saying, that people don't realize that it's even a problem, especially nowadays. Everyone has got LEDs. They've got the LED lights right up. It's not even incandescent anymore, unfortunately. So it doesn't have that beautiful, like, warm, inviting, Christmassy vibe. It's more this very cold, very like nervous system agitating kind of a color,
Yeah. It's just light overload, isn't it? It's quite torturous. And that's where I live. There's no light pollution, which is why I moved here. Wow. When I saw this house, I was like, wow, there's not even a lamppost. There might be one neighbour down there who's got a string of flashy lights, but I can let them go. I'm in a good place.
As long as you're protected in your little bubble, you've got your blackout curtains. You can make sure that you're protected in that way. That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't need them. It's so black here. There is no lights. It's amazing. It's a little pocket. So yeah.
Let's dive into the tech a little bit, because a lot of people are wearing, talking about intuitive health. A lot of people are not really intuitive, right, with their health. So they're relying a lot on gadgets and technology. You probably see a lot of people at the gym, for example. Let's take the gym as an example. There you see the fittest people. They don't wear anything on their body. You've got everybody who is trying to get fit. They're strapped with all these, smart watches and all these rings and everything, and there's all these Bluetooth devices. And so is there a correlation there, that the awareness about things? And again, what you said about the intuitive health, looking at people who are, already more in tune with their body, they're more fit, and everyone who trying to get fit are more bought into the tech health kind of things. Do you think that that's actually sabotaging people's health?
I think it's great to have them in the beginning. It helped me. I learned. I think if you put a time stamp on it, pay for an app for it for a year, use it for a year, study it. Sometimes, when you're monitoring your sleep and you don't have a good night's sleep, it can really send you on a downward spiral for the rest of the day. You're like, shit, I didn't get my REM. I only got this, that, and the other. And then you're on a massive high if you got you know, it's good to learn, but then I think once you have learned it, I just kind of got rid of everything. I don't even wear headphones in the gym anymore or at home. I just prefer to be in tune with my breathing and my thoughts, and I get a lot of things sort of I make a lot of decisions in my head when I'm working out. You know, I'm having a conversation in my head about what
Yes.
I'm able to multi-function a little bit more. When I go to bed, I listen to a podcast, but I use my old, you know, they've come back in, haven't they? The
Yeah, the
Apple
wired.
headphones.
Yeah.
Put it on flight mode. I always, you know, I put it on a timer and I fall asleep. And I do a lot of learning, subliminal learning from sleeping at night. And then, you know, my headphones broke. So I had a pair of the AirPods because a couple of years ago for a podcast, they were quite good for hearing for me. But I thought, right, let me just experiment. So I put these AirPods in and I laid down. Well, actually, I'm not sure if you can use only one. I had the and sure enough, you can when you're at this stage in your journey, you can feel like a little bit of a tension headache coming. So it is a thing. Some people say it's not, but it is for me. And I choose not to use them anymore and just kind of listen to what my body. It's hard to explain. It's just just a feeling you might get in your stomach or in your. They're just thoughts that tell you what to do. Do you get that?
Guys, if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and the like button. Now back to the show. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's very true. Like you get this feeling inside your body and you just know, like sometimes it tells you that this is not the right thing or it is the right thing. It's like an intuitive knowing, like exactly what you're talking about. Those earphones that you're talking about, are you talking about the wireless ones?
Yeah, the wireless ones. I mean, they're just evil. And I see all kids around with them in their ears permanently all day long. And it's they don't know. It's just about, you know, continuing to try to educate people. But if you try to tell them, they think you're mad.
Yeah, but that's why we're having this conversation. We're having this conversation because we need to educate people that this is not something weird or something like this. I think it's very important to inform people that, you know, being in tune with your body, listening to your own heart rate rather than looking at your watch all the time. Am I in zone 2? You know, am I burning fat for fuel? You know, people have gone like crazy.
Yeah.
Did you want to say
something? I
something?
interrupted you there. I was going to say you can take your heartbeat. You can feel your heartbeat. Yeah. You can feel when your temperature is rising. You can feel when you're out of breath. You know, when you work out and you can't talk, that's good. And that's all you need to know. If you're having a conversation with somebody in the gym while you're working out, that's not okay. You're not really kind of get the benefit. Look at your watch and it's going to tell you diddly squat, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean...
I think people are quite addicted to having the latest gadget. You know, my partner loves a gadget. I've managed to wean himself off some of them. I've managed to get him to put red lights in, you know, after sunset. He's a guy, he has a TV in his house. I don't. No way are you having a TV in this house. We've had a couple, you know, but now it's like he does get it. But I think people love gadgets.
They do.
They love them.
It's because it raises your dopamine. It gives you this false sense of reward that you've achieved something without actually achieving anything. And that is like one very vicious cycle about social media is that, especially when it comes to like business owners who have, you know, who do social media, I can say for myself, like personal stories, that many times, you know, the way that I use social media is very strategic. So I use it and then I just don't use it for you know, other times of the day. So I have specific times of the day that I use it and then I just go offline, you know, because I know it's not good for me. And so I'm very strategic the way that I use it. But if you go online and you just start scrolling by accident and you forget what you're there for, it's so easy to just get caught up like half an hour later or 1 hour later and think like, oh my God, like, I just wasted 1 hour of my life for nothing. I didn't learn anything. And now I feel like crap physically as well.
Oh.
So not only did I waste time, but I also feel crap physically. And so this is like a very, very dangerous rabbit hole, because it gives you this sense of reward that you're getting something out of it, you're doing something, you're going forward in life, when in reality, no, you're not going anywhere. You're actually going backwards.
Yeah, you're just people doing stuff when you could actually be, out there doing it yourself, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's okay to take inspiration and all, and to learn, and get empowered. Like, I guess that's what I'm doing on social media is empowering and educating people, giving people free information to take control over their health. But then at the same time, it's so important to not overconsume and get caught up in this, set some boundaries for yourself, say that, okay, I'm not going to use my social media until the, afternoon, or I'm going to only use it 1 hour a day or maximum or something like this, or set a certain time when you answer people and, these kind of things. Because if you don't, there's always something to answer or someone to comment or something to like, if you think that you have to be there online. It's almost like people are social media managers and they are like just managing their social media channel, but it's not earning them any revenue. It's like, it's not giving you anything back in return, really.
No. And like you said, I notice, I know when I can't get hold, I know when you're not online, because I know that when you're around to talk to. But you say, yeah, it's great inspiring people, but if you're on there too long, then you can get really depressed and uninspired and think, well, fuck you. And people, I'm sure I'm very a while if they're not feeling that great and they look at my posts, and it's just being sensible, setting a timer. I set a timer, sometimes I go over it, but I just have a routine like yourself, and I get rid of it and I get on with my day.
You've probably heard about red light therapy before and all the incredible benefits that it has to offer. But unfortunately, not all panels on the market are created equally. And this is why I only use and trust the ones that I have put in the description below. They have the highest quality panels on the market, from build quality, aesthetics and functionality. So if you want a massive 40% discount on my favorite red light therapy panels, head to the description below and make sure to use the promo code attached to get a massive 40% discount. So basically the summary of all of this is like, just be responsible with your tech habits in general. Anybody who is listening, is just set some boundaries for yourself. Understand that tech is a tool, but it shouldn't be like over abused. And because life is becoming more and more technological, that's where they're pushing us, with the digital currencies, everything becoming digital, all businesses becoming digital, literally everything going online. It's like almost impossible for you now to exist in this world without owning a smartphone or without owning something. So since we do have to engage with these things, we have to set very healthy limits and boundaries. Otherwise, it will overconsume us, take over our entire lives, and then we wonder where our life has gone. I see many people who are doing social media as more for work, like social media content creators, and you see them that they look so old and they age so fast because they are just overusing their tech, and there's so much that goes behind the scenes, because I'm also a content creator. And many times I just feel like, damn, this shit is getting me old. Like, I don't want to get old, like before I'm actually old. So it really does age you, being exposed to more blue lights, more stress, more non-native EMFs. Even though if you're doing all the things, it doesn't mean that you can still get away with overusing your technology. So for example, I know a lot of people in the circadian and quantum biology space. They talk, all about circadian and quantum biology, but I can't tell you how many people are online so many hours a day. Like, you can't get away with using your tech. I know for myself that even if I'm outside doing all the things, getting grounded, having good sleep, and I overuse my tech, I still feel like crap. So that means that you have to set some boundaries, healthy boundaries.
I think you have to just kind of keep the balance. I've noticed, for example, I home ed my son. I pulled him out of school because it was very concerning about just that.
Yes.
They were shut in a classroom. The windows were shut. They weren't allowed to go toilet when they wanted to. They weren't allowed to fill up their water bottles when they wanted to.
Wow.
Social media rife with, I mean, I get it. If they all go at the same time, there'd be nobody in the classroom. You have to control kids, but it's about, you got to put trust in them. You got to let them have some control when you're being controlled in that environment. And I noticed that a lot of the kids, compared to when I was at school, were quite big, and they have stuff in the canteen, which is just, quite shocking. And I decided, learning that my son was learning all his education on a screen. And I just thought, this is crazy.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Paper, or, the physical education was getting cut, the arts was getting cut, everything. They're all the first things to go because they're trying to keep their Ofsted reports tip top. So when I pulled him out of school, I noticed that he went to a home ed school, and then I did a couple of days, and I noticed a change in his health. I literally have the time to do it now because I have changed my life, and his health has changed. He looks like a kid like that I would have gone to school with, not one of those kids that just looked so depleted. And it makes my heart, I think, what is going to be going on inside your body in 20 years time, 10 years time?
Yes.
Are you even going to make it when you're 50, around this age? Because that's when things go a little bit wrong. But anyway, my son, he loves animation. He does spend time on a computer. So in order for me, he's old now. He got a place at college, and he's studying sports coaching, which is amazing because I kind of helped him steer that way, because I'm like, if you want to do the animation, you've got to balance it with something else. So he goes to college and he's running around all day, and then he comes home and I'm like, you can do whatever you like, but he's got a pair of blue blocking glasses, and he puts himself to bed at 9 o'clock. He's a teenager. Wow. I don't know any other teenagers doing that. They do work. I just think if you are a parent, it's well worth investing. If you're at your wit's end with your kids who won't listen to you, or you're losing them because this blue light is sucking them, it is taking them away. It's they're getting, it's not the healthiest environment to be in. It's hard to navigate. So these little things that you can implement do help. It's not easy having to. But anyway, I've noticed it's winter. He's at college. All the windows are getting shut. The central heating is on. I don't put the central heating on in my house. I mean, I've got a fire. He's got a little heater in his room. I'm not that mean. But I've noticed that he's starting to get issues. He's had a couple of nosebleeds, and that is because he's gone back to college and he's in this environment where it's the kind of environment that most people are in that we know doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yes.
It's all about control. It's all about trying to make us sick.
I'll tell you something scary about the nose bleeding. Basically, I noticed this multiple times myself, and also in Tina as well. In the past, when we used to train in a gym in Finland, well, obviously in Finland, technology is next level, right? And then we were training in a gym downstairs underground with all the fluorescent lights and Wi-Fi routers everywhere and all this kind of stuff. And so, it was very common for us to get nosebleeds downstairs. And so, and I never used to get nosebleeds, and neither did Tina, ever. So that is a clear sign to me that, and when you actually look into it, you realize that, non-native EMFs, what do those do to the membranes, to the mucous membranes? And when you look at what happened, and when you look at what happened in COVID and all of the symptoms associated with COVID, is also the same symptoms that you get from radiation poisoning. So you must ask yourself the question, also at the same time they installed the 5G towers everywhere. Then you start adding up all of these dots, and you start to realize, is everybody actually getting radiation poisoning without consent? And why I actually care so much about the children is because the children don't have a voice. They're going after the children because they are the future generations, right? And if they can destroy children's hormones from a young age, or age them faster so they can have, what do you call it? I lost my train of thought then. When you go through puberty, yeah. So if you go through puberty like too early, that is a sign that your body is like aging rapidly, and your organism is like wanting to reproduce so that your DNA survives. And so, yeah, like kids are aging at a rapid rate. You see their posture is terrible because from sitting so many hours in school. Also the tech use and everybody, like, yeah, the bones growing at the back of the neck and everything like that. It's absolutely insane what's actually happening. And this is why we need to raise the awareness. This is why we're having this discussion right now. And I hope that many people who have kids actually talk to their children and make them, have more healthy tech habits and set limits and boundaries with their tech, even find more healthier tech to use. For example, like daylight computer, which is like a tablet which doesn't have any blue light on it. At least that one, even if you use it in the dark as well, like it's only producing amber light without the blue light, which is also fine it doesn't disrupt melatonin. So there are alternatives. It's not like you need to just eliminate technology from your life. You just need to find like simple hacks and swaps in order to actually make it possible. And children are actually more susceptible to blue light and non-native EMFs anyway, because their organs and eyes and brain are not fully developed yet. And so they're more permeable. And so it actually affects children more. So eye damage is so much easier to occur in children, like EMFs, the radiation coming from, Wi-Fi routers and Bluetooth and all this and all the earphones is penetrating people's brains so much easier compared to adults. And because of that, because the brain and the body is still developing, they can manifest issues later on in life way quicker. You're seeing actually diabetes levels rising more than ever right now, even though sugar consumption all over the world is going down. When you look at graphs.
Yeah.
Say again?
They're rising, diabetes. What is going on?
Exactly. It's because literally like what Dr. Jack Kruse mentions is that the artificial blue light, the way that it affects your system, how it can actually spike your blood sugar and make your body produce insulin without you consuming anything at all. And actually, if you do this over and over and over the time, we know that actually chronically elevated blood glucose is a real issue, right? It leads to inflammation and all kinds of issues down the road, and even heart issues and all this kind of stuff. So you can imagine what it's doing to your pancreas, which is having to produce insulin all the time. And now, cells are becoming insulin resistant. Of course, we've got the seed oils, which contributes to insulin resistance. Any kind of stress, basically, and just over consuming food also leads to insulin resistance, which is a normal physiological response. When you eat too much food, your cells say, I can't take any more food right now. Don't put it in the cells. So it just circulates in your bloodstream until your body's used it, and then it can start putting it in the cells. But that's not the case most of the time. Most of the time, it's not that people are over consuming, but actually tech usage has increased like up and to the right. And then like sugar consumption has gone down a lot and is being replaced by, sweeteners and stuff like that. But sweeteners also, that's another whole rabbit hole. But I just feel like I got a little bit off track. But overall, it's just important to be mindful of this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it needs to be talked about, and people think you're nuts when you talk about it, but it is a massive problem that's going to get worse. More people are educating the authorities. When I unregistered my child, they actually said to me, can you tell us why? We're trying to find out why people are the numbers were they started at like 500 and now there are thousands of people home educating. So people are slowly kind of waking up, catching on, realizing that their kids aren't happy. What can I do? Some kids love school, but there might be one child in your family that does not deal with it. If I'd had the chance not to go to school, I think I would have been the happiest girl alive.
Same here.
If you can, I think I've lost my train of thought now, but the authorities, even they don't know what's going on, and I'm just happy that more people are waking up. And I just want to kind of share that we are conditioned to think that they have to go to school and sit in a classroom when they bloody don't. It's all about living life. They learn, my parents took me away traveling a lot, and I learned more traveling than I did sitting in a classroom. And I'm so grateful to my parents for we just used to jump in a camper van, and my dad would drive for like hours and hours and hours and hours all around Europe. And we had so many adventures, and we would learn, we'd see new things, all our senses were being stimulated. We'd go back and we'd be talking about stuff that these kids in the classroom didn't even have a clue. We were lucky, but my parents were quite, had a little bit of sense of adventure. I'm sure Mum says now that, it was a big thing to do in the 70s. But I think we're so used to being controlled now with all these lights, with all this food, and people are just doing what they're told rather than, hang on a minute, that doesn't feel right, because I sure as hell will not put up with it. And I just hope that more parents will wake up and, not worry. There's a whole world out there. My son has bypassed school, and the most important thing is he's healthy and he's happy. That's all that matters to me.
Well, if I want to regulate my nervous system, reduce anxiety and depression, and get an instant feeling of calm, my go-to is grounding. And this is why I make sure to get my bare feet on the ground every single day as much as I can. You see, the body needs energy in order to function properly, and grounding is a massive source of energy for our body. Now, if I'm not grounding barefoot in the sea or on grass, I make sure to wear my earth runners, which are my favorite barefoot and grounding sandals. As you can see, they come with a white toe box to allow your feet to work as they should, and underneath there is a copper plug and the silver stitching through the lace to make sure that you are grounded at all times. So if you're serious about your health and nervous system, you definitely need to check them out. You'll find the link in the description below, and make sure to use the promo code attached to get a nice discount on my favorite barefoot grounding sandals. Well, health is wealth. Without your health, you can't move on in life, right? If you can try and strive for all the money in the world and go to the best universities and do all the things, but not have all the degrees, but that doesn't mean anything if you're lacking your health. And unfortunately, a lot of people are losing it very early in life, and it's a shame. And I feel like this can lead us down our next rabbit hole, which is talking a little bit about your journey with your hormones and what's been happening lately since our last discussion. Because I feel like many people are having, at an early age, maybe in their 20s or 30s, they're having menopausal type symptoms, even though it's not time to have menopause yet, right? And so why do you think this is happening?
I mean, I can only share my experience. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a menopause expert, but I think what we just talked about as well does affect your hormones 150,000%. And then coupled with social media telling you, there's a podcast recently with a load of hormone experts that came together, and I'm telling you now, if I put myself in place of a man, and I don't even understand it. It's like it's too much information, and you're being told to take this, take take zinc, take vitamin B12, take HRT, get this out, and it's like, you're stressed anyway. Your hormones are all over the place. You feel like rage, killing someone. You just, it's not an easy thing to navigate. So for me, I know that when I had this operation, I kept my ovaries and my hormones were fine for 3 years. And then this year's been quite hard, because it's been like, you don't go over a hill when your hormones drop, you go over a fucking cliff. And it's a serious thing. Some women take their lives. It's a serious thing. Mental health with women reaching menopause is not an easy thing to navigate, and every single body is different. So you have to kind of take control of your own body and do your own research, but a lot of people don't, because they're not thinking straight and they just want a quick fix and they're feeling desperate. And it's really bloody hard. So I sort of reached out to, I've kind of like taken what I feel resonates with me and my body. So I've sort of slotted things together over a period of 5 years and tried things out. I'm trying something out at the moment. I'm not going to tell you what it is because everybody will rush out and probably buy it, and they don't have the same body as me. They haven't had a test taken, and you're just adding fuel to the fire. You need to find out what your levels are. So, you know, I will say blood tests, and I've been putting too much zinc in my body. So I've eliminated, I don't take a lot of supplements anyway, but I have learned that supplements can be part of the problem because we hold on to much iron. And I suppose I'm on a journey to get rid of this iron, and it doesn't just appear, it's years of abuse. And trust me, I have abused my body. I had a fantastic time in the 90s. I don't regret any of it. But now I'm spending a lot of time repairing the damage. And I said to this doctor, I said, is it a bit like having a rusty old iron pan? And I've got to try and get all of that iron out my body now. And she was like, yeah, pretty much. So that's my mission. I'm trying to navigate using less supplements and getting my supplements from food. And so my whole diet healthier has changed. My taste buds have changed. We were talking about senses. Your taste palette changed. So 5 years down the line, I actually don't crave cake on a Friday anymore. When I was traveling to Holland, I got stopped at baggage control. They were like, what are these 6 squares in your case? And I then sardines, and they all kind of recoiled in horror. I was like, have a nice day with your sardines. It's you're getting your nutrients from good foods. I've started eating a little bit raw foods, loads of raw eggs. I love raw eggs. I can feel my body being fueled. I'm not kind of going for granola with yogurt and berries like I used to, that everybody thinks is a really healthy breakfast, and it's bloody not. It's the worst thing you can put in your body first thing in the morning. Although when I was in Holland, I stayed Airbnb, and this is what I was talking to you about. This was another experiment, staying in an Airbnb. I'm not really in control of my food. Breakfast was provided, and all of this beautiful food came out, which was yogurt, fruit, orange juice, bread, 4 different types of rolls, jams, 20 different types of jams, croissants. I mean, it was just like all for me. And I sat there and thought, and there was ham and there was cheese. It was very continental. And I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to bloody eat it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm just going to eat it. And I did. But I was roller skating 6 hours a day. So what I realized was, if you have something to counteract it with and you're moving your body, it does make a difference compared to when I was working in the airport, where I was eating shit and I was standing around all day and I felt awful. So being in a hotel, I was also in a hotel. I moved to a hotel, to a different area in a high rise, can't open the windows. So I made an effort. Obviously I get up for sunrise anyway. And this is where the intuition thing comes in. Like I talked about my friend on the beach with all the animals, like Dr. Doolittle's. I was walking around and I sort of looked up, because I tend to always look up these days. People are mostly looking down at their phones. I spotted this staircase that it was above a multi-story car park. And I thought, well, the sun's east, I'm going up there. So I went up there. And when I got there, I kid you not, there was a cross trainer on top of the multi-story car park, and it was fully functioning. I was like, what is going on here? And I thought, how amazing is this? And I was on this cross trainer only the last 2 days, when I go exactly where it is. So I was getting a workout, watching sunrise, and it was almost like the universe had put it there for me. I don't know. It did. It bloody did. And it was amazing. It was funny. I just couldn't stop laughing. I was on this, it was like the film Big with the Voltar machine. When
I don't know the film.
Seen that film Big?
No.
Yeah, don't worry about it. This machine's plugged in. It's a bit spooky. The machine's not plugged in, and it's like a fortune telling machine. And all the dials were working on the cross trainer, but I couldn't see a plug. So that was funny. But I was
That's a
skating under you know, LED lights all week. I was up till the classes are late. I finished at 10:30. It didn't affect me. I was using the hotel gym, not fun, but it's got to be done. It didn't affect me. That would not affect me because I was doing something I loved, using my brain, and perfecting my skills and hanging out with some amazing like-minded people.
What I heard in between of all of your story there is the word resilience. And, you know, I just kind of feel like many times we obsess about all of the different things which are harmful for us, like different foods or blue lights or EMFs, and they are actually harmful to us, yes. But what if we can actually make the body more resilient to tolerate those things? And from, you know, like you did, you know, for a little small part of your life, you experimented and you traveled and you stayed in these places where it is not like the best for health, but you still had a little bit of structure, right? You still managed to get the sunrise. You still managed to get a lot of movement and exercise in. You didn't stress your body by like, say, you know, being obsessed about what you're eating. You just went along with the flow. And, you know, I feel like that's the key, right? If you actually want to become more resilient and more flexible, that allows you to be more stress-free and to, you know, just allow you to be healthier, because we know that stress in general kills you like over time. It literally does. Like chronic stress is literally the worst thing for your health. I don't know anything worse for your health than chronic stress, whether that is psychological or physical or both. Like most people are encountering both these days due to everything that they're doing to their bodies with modern living. If you are just a modern human living a modern life and doing everything that's given to you, I guarantee you that your body's under a lot of stress. And whether you're aware of it or not, your mental, your mind is also under a lot of stress, and you're getting triggered by a lot of things, you know, even though you're unaware of it. So in a way, you're sort of being mind controlled without actually realizing it. And so what I love about your story is that you know, even though you traveled away from your country, you went abroad and you were not in control of your environment, you still stuck to some fundamental principles which allowed you to have a structure which still takes you more forward than anybody else who lives this modern life. So you still got out with the sunrise, you still were outside, you know, you actually moved your body a lot, which is actually increases your insulin sensitivity and actually allows these receptors from inside of your cells, these GLUT4 receptors, to come to the surface, which can actually allow glucose from your bloodstream to enter the cell independently from insulin. So that means you don't actually need insulin to suck that food in. So when you've been active a lot and you use your muscles a lot, you can get away with eating things with a lot of sugar in. But that doesn't mean that people should go and do that. I'm just saying that you can get away with it if you actually know what you're doing. And, you know, because the majority of your life, you live it in a very healthy way, the majority of the time, you can get away with doing these things every now and then. But if your life was the majority of the time like that, it would be like pretty hard. Would you agree?
Yeah, because I've done it both ways. And actually, when you do just roll with it, it confirms even more that what you're doing is actually working. It's that.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about like working against your body. You actually mentioned something on the text that you sent me, that you're experimenting with sleeping outside. Like, do you want to tell me about that?
So in my sauna tent, I got this sauna tent, and it's just a tent with a wood burning stove in it. And the friend that I was visiting in the Netherlands, she has been experimenting sleeping outside. She's hardcore, and she inspired me. So I thought, I'm going to try it. And I remember, you know, whenever you go camping, or I had a job in Africa, I was working with the tribes people in Africa, and we were spending a lot of time outside. And I remember thinking, my hair feels amazing. Like normally it's like this kind of, it's really frizzy and it's sort of like all over the place. It was like had these curls and my skin was glowing. And it's the same when you go camping, because you're outside, your body loves it. Your body's not supposed to be in a warm bed, central heating, you know, locked in a house 24 hours a day. And so I put myself outside, and I sleep well anyway, but I slept like a baby. And I did that every weekend until now. It's just a little bit cold. The temperature's really dropped.
You have to
But
have
I
the
took
sauna
my
on.
well, no, probably set fire to myself. I didn't put the sauna. I didn't put the wood stove on. You
Yeah.
could. I mean, mountaineers, you kind of model. They have these transparent tents with a wood burning stove, transparent ones. Because if a bear was coming, I wouldn't want to know about it. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather be in a
Yeah.
black tent and not know about a bear was coming. But you could heat up, and then kind of when it cools down, you could get
Yeah.
into bed. But it's just an amazing reminder of how we used to live, or how we should be living, to get back into nature. So doing that, you know, once in a while is not a bad thing. Yeah.
Are you in a
Really
tent?
enjoyable.
Are you actually in a sleeping bag? What do you have with you in the tent?
When I was in there, I've got loads of sheepskin rugs. So I used a sheepskin rug. My sleeping bag, I had it underneath the sheepskin rug, and I had my duvet, which is, 100% cotton. I'm just sort of changing all my clothes. A friend of mine makes sustainable clothing. I love her range. I've got her cotton vest on. I've got cashmere. I mean, I work for a cashmere company. That's another intuitive story that happened, which was amazing. You know, once you start kind of becoming intuitive, more intuitive shit starts to happen. All these synchronicities, is that the word?
Yes.
So I tried to be as I could when I was sleeping outside. And your own body heat, you'd be surprised how warm you actually are just by having those the right materials around. In the morning it was a little bit like, wow, tiny bit stiff, but not the benefits outweigh feeling a little bit kind of, it helped calm me down in menopause. I found it very beneficial.
It gets you grounded, literally.
Yeah, that's the whole point, is getting all the electrons or getting the energy from the earth and listening to the sounds. And you start to notice more wildlife, and you start to appreciate life a bit more, rather than being so dismissive with all this tech. Just kind of non-complacent, not engaging. You're not really engaged with the real world. We're becoming so far removed from the real world. So, that's what I kind of learned.
I like that you mentioned that, because this is something which I mention a lot on my podcast, is that the digital reality is not the physical reality. And this is a very dangerous, path that people take, is when they actually look online and they assume that everything that they see online is true. And now with this day and age, with AI and everything like this producing incredible images and videos, it's so hard to discern like what's true or not, and it just kind of feels like that's making more and more people detach, remove themselves from technology, which is a great thing. At the same time, I just feel like so many people are bought into it as well. And and this is what causes mass compliance by big institutions and governments who actually benefit from people's compliance. So by buying shit that you don't actually need, or by following certain rules that don't make sense, like in the military, for example, when they start to enforce certain ideas and rules on you, like they did in COVID, then you actually start to realize that the government and all these big institutions, all the medical system, they don't have your best interests. They don't have your best interest. All they want is to make profit and to, take advantage of you and to use you a little bit like the Matrix, using people sort of like a battery, that we are sort of like batteries for their system to function until they don't need us anymore, until they become self-sustaining, until their AI god or whatever, or tech takes over. And then we are just sort of like, there'll be the technological world, and then there'll be the natural world, I feel like, and there'll be this like massive divide, and there'll be those people who are totally just walking around like zombies, like you see in movies, just staring down and drooling from their face and not knowing anything what's going on around them. And those who are looking up like you are and noticing all the chemicals they are spraying in the sky and noticing like just what they are doing to our environment, like the bigger things that are actually occurring behind people's backs, because everyone's just paying attention to a screen and not paying attention to what's happening in their actual environment.
Yeah, they're not looking up. They're not looking up, and they're not engaging. And I was going to say something, and I got distracted. So much to say. It's like
I know. That's it, right? It's just there's so many rabbit holes we can go down. You mentioned a little bit about the traveling, and I'm just thinking that this can be a very beneficial last question, which I'll ask you is about, give me some traveling hacks and tips for people. How can they travel in a more healthy way?
Okay, I'll tell you what. I heard one from Sarah Pugh that I absolutely loved, and I really, really was on the back foot to try it. But she said when she goes through the scanner, she says she's pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if I'm too old to say I'm pregnant if I get away with it.
What am I supposed to say?
Passport. Oh, wow.
Don't assume my gender.
So I take a little, I've just got my little bond charge, which I take on flights. It's very tiny. So to get a little bit of red light, I take my shoes and I take my shoes off. I take my socks off, one of them, and I ground myself to the aeroplane chair, the metal bit.
Right.
I don't know why. I was your ground to the earth of the plane. It does help. I take a linen shirt and I go to sleep and I cover myself with this linen shirt and I put my cap on and I listen to the podcast and I just shut myself off from the world. And I try and travel as light as I can. And I just, if I have time, because I have tried it a few times, going through the airport scanner, you can opt out. But it's very hard. They seem to be particularly tricky about it, and they kept me waiting, and I almost missed a flight. So if I have loads and loads of time, I would. Yes. But if not, a bit like going with the flow. I go through the scanner, and I just kind of have a word. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you just come off the aeroplane, take your socks and shoes off. You know, obviously not on the runway, but somewhere when you've got out of the airport or you got to your hotel, it's really important to ground, get out in natural light. Yes. I don't eat. I don't eat any of that. I watch people eat. On the plane, it's just, again, they're giving you all this food that just, it's like the worst food you can eat, and it's all been stuck in that. I mean, even the cups of tea with the floating bits on it's it's just, you're just sitting there. That's why I just sort of cover myself over and
those are all really important tips, because a lot of people, when they fly, they feel like trash afterwards and they wonder why they feel like trash. And I think it's a normal phenomenon due to the fact that you are getting radiated, you're becoming detached from the Earth's magnetic field, number one. You're flying so high off the ground, and you're literally in a metal tube in the air. Everyone's using their Wi-Fi now because, modern planes always have Wi-Fi, unfortunately. It's just terrible. And basically, like, everyone's using their tech now at the same time. So you're being radiated by everyone around you. So you need to minimize your stressors as much as you can by preparing in advance, and also what you do afterwards. So ground as much as you can before, get as much light as you can before, take your blue light blockers with you in the airport. Absolutely essential in an airport. Oh my God. I every time when I've flown, gone in an airport, if I don't take my blue light blocking glasses, you just go insane. You have to wear them, because there's no open windows anywhere. You don't know what time of day it is. It's a little bit like a casino where they do it on purpose, because if you close all the windows, then you don't know what time of day it is. You spend more money, you spend, more time in there. And it's sort of like, you're sort of like in this, time travel, this state of time travel, right? And you're basically just going and going and going, and the blue light stimulating you, and your body can still keep on going even though you're exhausted. And then that's when you start to make bad decisions as well, because the light that you're exposed to messes with your hormones. So then you start like making the wrong decisions and then everything starts to fall apart. So basically what I'm saying and what Kerry said there is just take care before, take care during, in the airport, make good like healthy food choices, take food with you if you can, you know, like cook a steak and chop it up in pieces and eat it out of sardines, anything like that, and eat it while you're on the flight and in the airport. And when you ground, just connect with nature as much as you can. Obviously get sleep, take magnesium with you. That's amazing for reducing stress, because anything that increases your stress depletes magnesium. So you need a lot of magnesium when you're flying, before, after, and during. All that stuff really. Workouts if you can when you land. I always find it very useful, like if you do a workout when landing, even if it's really late at night, it can be very helpful. Do you want to say?
Yeah, straight in the sea. That always sorts you out. I
went
to Greece with my mum and my sister. We actually were delayed and it was a very long journey, and I just dragged them in the sea, and I'm telling you now, it sorted everything out. We were all completely fine after that. Yeah. I
tell you why the sea is so powerful, and I absolutely love it as well, because I live right by the sea and I'm grateful for that. Every time when I feel like crap and I've radiation poisoned myself with my tech use, I'll basically go in the sea. And the coolest thing about the sea is that you get this instant exchange of electrons, right? And you get a discharge of all the accumulated voltage in your system, which is not meant to be there, which is creating cellular chaos, which is basically equals inflammation. And so when you ground in the sea specifically, your whole body is grounded. It's not just one part of your body, like just your feet touching, right? You've got everything covered. So the water can touch every single part of you, especially if you get your head underneath as well. And literally in an instant, your body and your nervous system can come to homeostasis, because all your nervous system is waiting for is the proper electrical balance in the system for it to function properly. And when you distort that electrical balance by being exposed to artificial blue light and non-native EMFs, because that's what they do. They stress the body out so the electrical signal gets messed up. That causes agitation, frustration, irritation, inflammation, all this kind of stuff, incoherence. And so when you restore that coherence, your body feels calm. And so didn't you also feel more calm after coming out of the sea?
Yeah, where I live is very famous. It's known as the vitamin C. Back in the Victorian days, all the Victorians would come down in their big kind of gowns, and underneath we have like a monument that looks like the Hayden Collider, I call it, and underneath they built a sea bathing facility in the Victorian times, where they would come and put their feet in the sea and they would instantly feel better, but they didn't know why. They just called it the vitamin. People don't know why they feel better when they go in the sea, or why, you go on holiday for 2 weeks. Yes. Personally, I struggle to go on holiday for 2 weeks. In my whole kind of 30-year career, I've taken a total of 4 years off. I've just gone for a year, because you go on holiday and you see people and they come home and they look so healthy, and it's like, but you could do that all the time.
Yes.
Could implement a lot of those things all of the time. Yes. But they're not connected dots of why they feel so much better from having a break, you know?
Yes.
But I think when you are on the beach, people don't realize how or why they feel like that, but it is, we're it's our natural kind of, it's in our, we're just drawn to the sea, we're drawn to the sun, and we're drawn to the sea. So it's all about intuition and just listen to those signals if you can.
100%. Like people in the past, they didn't used to know like all the biophysics and all the biochemistry, but they just used to listen to their body more. They didn't have tech, right? So they had to be more in tune with their body. They had to be more connected with their environment, because they relied on it in order to actually survive and stay healthy for a long period of time. So they actually acknowledge that nature holds a lot of the medicine, a lot of the power. And that's where the original medicine comes from, right? That's actually where the true healing used to always, like everybody used to look towards nature as the guide to get like everything that you actually needed. And people used to know that, if you're not well, just go outside. Like that was the antidote. Whereas now everyone is like, I'm not well, I'm inside on my phone, laid in bed, eating crap, you know?
Yeah. And I think because it's so simple, people don't believe it anymore. People just don't believe it. But it is so simple.
Oh, it is simple. Yeah, exactly. And what you just said there about people going on holiday and feeling better, and how they can actually implement these things into their daily life. Even like in the UK, for example, like where you live, people don't actually think that you can actually experience those benefits in the UK because they think, oh, there's no sunlight, so therefore, I can't do anything that's beneficial for my health. But actually, every environment has its benefit. And if you're born there specifically, that environment is perfect for your body because your biology is designed to get more melatonin. Your biology is designed to get more cold, because that's actually how your biology is designed to thrive based on your environment. But if you take somebody like that and you bring them to Cyprus and, you frazzle them to death with the sun and they're not used to it, that's not beneficial either. You have to have the right balance. You have to build the resilience, because you need to first connect with your own environment before you start, thinking about going to burn yourself for 2 weeks, laying in the sun, slathered in sunscreens, and then coming home and thinking that you had a good holiday,
Yeah, exactly.
It's
That's
just
not a
that
good holiday.
Yeah, it's just that, what I see all the time, because, obviously living in Cyprus, it's a very big holiday destination, right? And I live by near hotels, and I see people just laid out the whole day, and they think that just because they have sunscreen on, it gives them the permission to lay out in the sun the whole day. Not only do they burn, even though they've got the sunscreen on, but they just continue to keep on putting it on, and then they go lay the next day. That's how you actually manifest problems, rather than like getting the benefits of sunlight, because it's like sun binging rather than making the most of the sun the whole year round, like you should. If you're more outside like Kerry is, spending time outside as much as you can, that's actually how you thrive in that environment. And no, you don't get sick by getting cold, because that is such a old story. You actually get sick because your immune system goes down, because your body gets too stressed. Obviously, if your stress bucket overflows, that's when you get sick, because your immune system becomes suppressed. But if you're, of course, for some people, doing cold exposure and getting cold is the last drop which makes them sick, and then they blame the cold. But it's not the cold at all.
No, I've been in with my mum and my sister. We went to London to celebrate something. We went to the cinema, and then we went to a yoga kind of class. And I really noticed that there was a lot of people that were sick in the cinema and drinking, and and there was a lot of people were sick on the tube, on the underground, and I've been working in the airport. There's a lot of people that are sick. I'm not sick. I've had vitamin D. My vitamin D has been optimal for 4 years, and I rarely get sick. And if I do, it's fine. It's like it's an upgrade. It's like I will deal with it. But I rarely get sick, and I've been around all of these people, and you think, it's nuts.
It's about the terrain. It's not about the germs or the cold that people call it. It's really not about that at all, because you can be around a whole bunch of sick people in your environment and you can't get sick. And then there may be somebody who in your life who doesn't, exercise, or who stays indoors all the time, and they get sick in an instant when they're around somebody else who is sick. But you must ask yourself, why is that? Why is it so that a fit person, a person who is fit on the inside and on the outside? Because you can look fit on the outside, but some people are actually not healthy on the inside, right? You can actually look the part, but you're not actually living it that way. So, but you are actually living, you are living and preaching everything that you are talking about. And that's the beautiful thing, right? And everyone needs to realize that you have so much control and power over your own health. You need to reclaim your health by starting to take little tiny action steps every single day, getting more sunlight, getting natural cold exposure in a healthy way, grounding, sleeping more, protecting your kids, doing as much as you can, like not exposing them to the blue lights, look for healthier alternatives when it comes to technology, and, just be mindful about the tech use in general? I'm just kind of summarizing everything for people to, from our discussion today. Is there any last words of wisdom you would like to leave the audience with, Kerry, before we end the show?
I think just question everything, like just kind of educate, just I know people don't want to know. There's a certain type of person that's a bit more curious than the other. But if you've got any doubt in your mind about something that somebody's told you to take, or you're not sure, don't just take it. Like, go and get a blood test, look at your levels, get some hands, for your own body. You feel really bloody good about it. And then it just spurs you on to go, do you know what? I'm going to do a little bit more, and I'm going to ask more questions, and I'm going to read another article, and I'm going to listen to another podcast. But just kind of, just be mindful and don't rush into anything and take every bloody vitamin that everyone's recommending, because you're going to add more fuel to the fire if you don't know what's going on inside. So, yeah.
Intuitive health. That was perfect. Where can people connect with you, Kerry?
Oh, that was such a good chat.
It was awesome. Where can people find you and connect with you?
I'm on Instagram. I am Kerry September. I have a website. I'm starting up, trying to help women to strip back all the toxins, because I've been a makeup artist, a makeup and hair artist for years. And I just see a lot of women in menopause, and they're just kind of putting all this stuff on their face, and they're unsure how to change their routine they've had for like 20 years. Just look at your products and read all the ingredients on the back, and just kind of take in what you're actually putting on inside your body. Another conversation for another time, but yeah.
This ties in perfectly with my previous podcast conversation, which will be coming out before yours, because I talked with Dr. Perry Nicholson, if you know him. He's also known as Stop Chasing Pain on Instagram. And he's like known as lymph doc. He's known as the lymph doc, and he talks everything about the lymphatic system. So we actually go into that, about these environmental toxins, pollutants, endocrine disruptors, non-native EMFs, and how that affects the lymphatic system. So this is like a perfect icing on the cake. So thank you so much, Kerry. I would love to do it again.
It's so good to see you again.
It was awesome.
You guys enjoy the topics and guests I bring on the show. I would really appreciate it if you left me a 5-star review on Spotify, and also subscribe to Fitness Wisdom Podcast on YouTube as well, as this helps to spread the knowledge and wisdom with the world. Until next time, this is the Fitness Wisdom Podcast.